So how did Big Air go? Because I was watching some of the footage from that and looking at. I think one of the riders was saying they could potentially push to 15 meters with the right wind, right? Like, how was that to see that from shore and for the first time?
Yeah, that was probably the biggest experiment we tried this year on the World Tour. And I
Okay.
think it's great, that helps. First of all, I want to say, I think it's great to have the athletes that are on tour now being the athletes that are on tour because they are not afraid of anything. They are there. They want to push the sport. They want to see where the boundaries are. With all the ideas we throw at them and we say, hey, let's do big air. Yeah, let's go for it. And everybody's fire. So the big air thing came out of the idea that yeah we were partnering with Red Bull this year as a tour partner on all our events. But Red Bull
Oh
also,
wow!
we had a talk
Congrats.
last year when we started that cooperation, and Red Bull wanted to do something special. So I told them, well, we could either consider running a big wave event or a big air event. Big wave is a bit early in my opinion because I think that the sport still needs to develop a bit further to put on a big wave event that really puts on the show that this would really deserve. Meaning, like if we would, for example, schedule an event on a waiting a holding period in Nazaré or in Dawes, there is probably
Hmm.
not enough people yet that will put on an amazing show to make it really worth pushing. There is a couple of guys, but obviously you want to have a really high level across all the athletes, and I think we still need a bit of time to develop that, but it's coming, I'm sure.
Whoa, that's gonna be crazy.
Uh, so we said, well, big air. I mean, we know these guys, these boys, these girls, they jump pretty high. Nobody knows yet how high they actually go, but we should put something on. And they really liked it, and they have been already. Red Bull has been running the Red Bull Rockets Award in the windsurfing World Cup in Gran Canaria the past 2 years, which was more or less just crowning the biggest jump of the event of the windsurf World Cup event of the wave event. And yeah, I'll be talking with Björn Dankeberg, who is a legend in
Oh yeah,
windsurfing for those who know him.
huge.
Um, who is the organizer of the Gran Canaria World Cup, and we've been talking last year with Björn and said, well, we should get a Wingfoil event to Gran Canaria. So he said, let's make it happen. And we were first talking only about a surf freestyle and free fly slalom event. But I said to Red Bull, well, if we do big air, there's only one place that comes to my mind where we got to run this. And this is in Pozo Gran Canaria. Because this is the only place that is nuking from morning to evening every day when you get there in the summertime.
Oh yeah.
So, and Björn was pretty fired up about it too. Said like, yeah, let's do the big air. And so we worked with Red Bull on that concept for the Red Bull rocket to adopt it for wing foiling. But we didn't want to do just crown the biggest jump of the surf freestyle competition. And so, well, to really push that, we need to make a separate bigger event where it's all about jumping high. And so we worked out a concept with the writers saying, well, we don't want to, like make you holding back because you need to learn technical tricks. We want to really focus on how you boost. And technicality must play a role, but it shouldn't be the main focus because obviously you will, when we were asking them, we said, guys, do you think if you do 10, 50 meters jumps, that you're going to land your 1080s or backflips or double backflips or whatever
They all
rotations
said
you've done
yes.
in training? They all said yes, of course.
Of course.
If you really think that. But then we're like, okay, maybe not.
Okay.
So we came up with defining the rule book for this new discipline being 80% of the judging criteria being height and 20% only technicality, which means if you are trying to boost really high with a straight jump or maybe a grab or whatever, or a single rotation, you can still win over somebody who does a 720, but 3 meters lower than you. So this is we want to see you guys going big, because we have a freestyle discipline already.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
And we want to have it. So we did a qualification. We only allowed 18 people to enter the big air. And we said, okay, we want to choose, I think it was 8 guys out of the freestyle ranking. And then we want to make a qualifier. Then there were some wild cards. And then we did a qualifier before the event in Gran Canaria on the first day. And those who have the highest jumps there will also end in. And then we were partnering on the technology side with a Surfer app, which is a device. It's an app basically using your phone that has been developed. We've been using this on the Kite World Tour for the big air event. So all the riders are wearing a phone. Some people might know the Boo device. So the Boo is like a device for kiters that can measure how high they go, but it's kind of a sensor that you put on your board. And then when you get back to the beach, you connect it with your phone and you can extract all the data. But as we were live streaming the event, we need a device where you can get the data live. So to make this work, you need to have a transmitter with a mobile data connection that can give you the data real time. No. Okay. So the Surfer app basically uses phone, and we've been working with those guys together now for 2 years on the big air events in Canary. So we said we want to have it. We want to get you guys also for the wing, and we equipped everybody with a phone, because the sensors in a phone are that accurate nowadays in the new phones that they work pretty well. And so everybody was wearing a phone as a sensor, and those data were been transmitting real time to our live judge tower and also the live streaming. So you could follow the live stream, see a guy jumping, and a couple of seconds after you would see how high the jump was.
Oh, that helps.
Yeah, of course, because it was really hard to, obviously somebody jumps maybe 100 meters in front of you and another one 300, who was higher. But having this data allowed the judges to really know, okay, this was now the highest jump we've seen so far or not, how high the jumps really were. And yeah, so we've been, but obviously you need the jump to be counting, you need to land it. And the highest jump that was clocked in, but that was landed was 11.9 meters on that competition. But the highest jump that was measured and not landed was 14.8.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that was decently high. That was 15 meters high. That was, I think, Benjamin May from Germany. But yeah, he said, guys, I didn't want to land. I was too high. He let go the board before the landing. He said, I need to keep my knees.
I was asking. Yeah.
But it was crazy. Yeah, no. If you, and before there was the windsurf competition going. In the windsurf competition, they used the same device. And I think the highest was like around 10.8 or 10.9. So it was similar, but a meter less than the Wingfoiler. But it was really interesting to see also the technique, because a lot of them were never really before. And first of all, they didn't know how high they jump. And they also were not pushing for it really to see where can you go. And it was all about the height of the jump, but also the travel distance. So you would try to just not jump too much into the wind and then land like this. You would try to like come downwind and really like fly down and land with a bit of speed.
Okay. All right. It's kind of like a curve, like that kind of thing. Accelerate, see if you can climb like an airplane and then come back down. All right.
So judges were looking at the height, but also the travel distance and the air time. And you could really see, obviously the guys wearing big wings, it's both bloody windy. I remember thing on that day. So we're running 3 disciplines in 6 days, and the windiest day we choose for the big air, obviously, and it was 40, gusting 48 knots. We had a wind meter measuring that, so it was decently windy. And I mean, some guys like Benjamin May, he was on a 4.5 wind, you know, in that kind
Holy
of wind,
shit.
because
Whoa.
if you're holding a too small wing, it doesn't have enough lift. I mean, he's a big guy, but still, like he was on a 5.0, 4.5, like full on stack,
Could we ask
and then even
what brands are there? I guess we can talk about that after. But yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to do now because I guess they're all going rigid, super tough new materials. I guess that's all going to help boost even higher.
yeah, this is another thing that there was nobody using any bigger prototype, but I think next year we're going to do it again. I think
Hmm.
that a couple of guys will show up with prototypes that have, let's say, better airtime than they're going to be made for this kind of discipline. I don't think the industry yet was thinking about building wings in that direction, but maybe now we got already requests actually from other organizers this year. They said, hey, we want to have big air too. We want to also have a bigger event. Can we do that as well? But at the moment, I think we want to keep it really for the right spots, unless
That
it's,
makes
a
sense.
spot with kickers and good wind. It doesn't make sense to do the discipline if they're, kickers are important too. So in Gran Canaria, what you have like 2 meter kickers, but they are not steep because you don't want the steep way for the wingfoil. You kind of want a flat jump so you can push the foil out, but still going to get that kick. And I think Cape Town could be a spot where we could run bigger.
Mm.
And a couple of other ones, but Gran Canaria is pretty ideal, I'd say. The wind is steady, it is strong. You got this nice roll. If it's windy, you got 2 meter swell coming in, not steep breaking waves, but soft ones that you can really take off clear. And yeah, it was a super interesting event. I think when I saw the images then, after the big air day, and we were scrolling through the photos, it was like I posted a couple on my social media just saying,
Yeah.
hey, this is what we came for, this is what we all wanted to see. And they were like, man, this is Photoshop. It can't be real.
Yeah.
You can't be hanging 12 meters in the air on a wing, you know.
That would have been so cool to see. That
and
would have been so
and
cool.
yeah, it was another great push, I think, this year for the sport. And it also it was probably the event with the biggest media coverage we had in the whole year. Because big air, it was something even outside the wingfoil industry and the wingfoil community. This is something that touches people now. Like if you have this on television, suddenly you say, "What are these guys doing? They're hanging on a wing, 12 meters in the air, no harness to it, like nothing. If they just let it go, they just fall down. What are they doing?
Oof.
So there was a
Yeah.
lot of interest actually in reporting from that event, even from outside the wingfoil world.
Hey, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, it was. It was
Yeah.
substantially quite a bit more media coverage than we've seen on the other events this year because of the big air.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, so there's and all the riders, it was in the beginning before we went to Gran Canaria. It was also one of the things I wasn't sure. I know it's bloody windy there. I've been there many times with windsurfing, and I wasn't sure how the wingfoil is going to handle it and if the gear even going to work in that strong
Well, that's my
winds.
question. Yeah.
But no, I mean they were, the guys were most of the time, even for downwind, as I explained, for the free fly slalom, it was amazing. It was the best spot we had this year for it. We had a free fly
Mm.
race. Guys would have a start line and then go around the buoy and then just go 700-800 meters without the wing, downwind on 40 knots or 35 knots wind from the back and just riding the waves all the way
Oh,
down.
that'd be
And
so
you could
fun.
really see who were the guys who know to do this very well, who know how to read the ocean and how to overtake without the power of the wind. Um,
Hmm.
so it's been one of the best events this year, definitely. I think Gran Canaria. And then when we left from Gran Canaria, the next stop was just the week after in Fuerteventura, which is pretty windy too. It's been 30 knots every day as well. And they were all like, "Man, the wind is so light here." Oh,
Compared to
yeah.
50?
But Yeah, I think they were most of the boys were riding 3.5 on Gran Canaria on the event, and the girls
Okay.
2.5, some of them 2.0. But the girls were doing
Okay.
very well too, huh? I remember, I mean, the day of the big air, we came in the morning to the beach. We were staying like half an hour away in a hotel, and we came in the morning, 9 in the morning to the beach. And usually Gran Canaria, the wind like accelerates throughout the day, and we arrived there, and the water was flying. You know, I don't know if even the rescue jet ski
Oh.
can go out here. It's so windy already. It's already 50 knots now. And then Bart Miller rocked up, and I said, Bart, you think you can go out there? He was like, yeah, sure I can, no problem. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna show you. So he grabbed like a 2.0 wing or 2.5, and he went out, and he had no problem riding. You know, it was like, well, if Bart can make it, then the skis must be able to do it as well. And
Yeah.
and and it was a bit difficult to get out because the waves were breaking onto the rocks. But because you have that strong wind, you can really start very quick. Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
it's been a really interesting one. And I was also stoked to see in the big air that we had a couple of new faces that you wouldn't expect, let's say from the freestyle, that were on top. You know, like I mean, Benjamin was putting an amazing show on because he was. You know, there was Tituan and Ratotti, who was the bigger world champion this year. They maybe clocked higher jumps, but Benjamin was going 10 meters and they were effortless landing.
Whoa.
So
Whoa.
that was, he was the guy with the most commitment. Everybody agreed on it, you know, even though he didn't win in the end because he didn't have jumps, but everybody was like, this guy's crazy.
Heck of a stalled forward then. When he climbs to peak, rotates and then comes back down. Holy shit.
The show was insane. You know, I'm still remembering it. It's definitely one of the highlights of the season in Gran Canaria. I'm really looking forward to next year where big air we're going to take it because I think we're going to probably push it a bit more on the technical side and we're going to see guys going maybe higher or similar height, but then training, you know, also maneuvers in
Yeah.
that big air event. So yeah, interesting year on the tour, definitely.